Hi, welcome to the Technically Brilliant Show. My name is Lisa Osborne and I'll be your host today. Our guest today is LaJune McMillian. The Technically Brilliant Show is a collaboration between Black Public Media, which is based in Harlem and New York City, and Denton Black Film Festival, which is based just outside of Dallas. And I'm based in Atlanta. So without further ado, let's bring on LaJune McMillian, who is going to talk to us from her home base in New York City.
Hi, Lisa.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, you've had like a banner outstanding year. So congratulations on that, first of all.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm just really grateful.
Awesome. So basically, we're going to start with like your background in tech, or not, and then sort of talk about your arc into doing the work that you're doing now. And then we'll stop to show your pitch video from our April showcase. And then we'll come back and have some more questions. And then if there are live audience questions, we'll try to incorporate some of those as well. Cool?
Sure, definitely.
Okay, awesome. So were you into computers in high school? I've never asked you that before, but I'm curious.
Yeah, actually I was. So in my sophomore year, I actually switched schools, and the school had computer science courses that were available. And so my teacher, Dr. Safko, was just really amazing and really just like awesome. And I took all of his computer science courses. And then after I was completed with those, I actually started a robotics club like at my school.
Oh my God.
And yeah, it was great. It was really great. And Dr. Safko was like also the advisor for that. And then then I would do like independent studies just to like to learn more before like going to college.
Were you going to competition? I was about to say, were you doing competitions and stuff like that?
Yeah, we did like one competition a year. It was at Drexel. It was like we did this little like aquamarine robotics competition, and it was a lot of fun. It was just like really cool to sort of just like create our little like our little robot for the water, and and we would all just sort of go as a group.
Do you think that you would ever go back into robotics in the future?
Maybe. Like I think like when it comes to my work and my practice as an artist, I like to keep it pretty open. So so I do a lot of work now like with 3D animation, but I am really interested as well with controllers, and I think like that's also like why I'm so interested in like live motion capture performance, because like I guess motion capture in this sense can act as a sort of controller for these sort of like 3D animations that I'm creating. But also using like Arduinos, any type of like little sort of mini computer to sort of like code installations or change installations is something that
So you're open to it, to potentially incorporating that back into your art practice. Cool. So after high school, where did you decide to go to college?
So I went to NYU Tandon, which was NYU Poly at the time. And yeah, basically I went there originally for mechanical engineering.
And then
and then like this first semester I was like, nope, I can't do this.
This isn't going to work. What made
so
you, was there like a particular aha moment in that first semester, or was it like a series of mini aha moments?
It was a series. I was like, because, I think for me, like how I view school is that, okay, these are going to be the people that I work with, like outside of school, my classmates, this is going to be the community that I'm part of.
That's very true.
Yeah, so it's like a mixture of that. I'm like, even though the work that I'm learning is something that, it's very introductory. It's like, I'm going to be doing work like this when I get out of school. So I just was not having a good time. I think I was not having a good time. It just like was not for me. And it wasn't like, I guess like a culture that I wanted to like immerse myself in.
Got it.
Also because like I was consistently reminded that like I did not like belong there. Like a lot of
wow.
yeah, like a lot of students, and they would say it really nicely. They'd be like, "Oh, you should be in like FIT or something. Like, why are you here?" Like, and like I'm just like, because I want to learn. And then like it just didn't help. Like, yeah, I just didn't feel like
so
I
they weren't open to people from. I mean, that could be like a whole show by itself, which I'm not going to get distracted. But I have many questions, LaJune, about the whole microaggressions during first semester of college. I had something similar where I remember this conversation I had with a computer science major, again, first quarter for us at school. And he was from Seattle, white dude. And he literally, we were walking to my dorm. And I think, did he live in that dorm too? I think he lived in that dorm too. And he started this line of questioning that was like, so, you don't really sound Southern. And, don't Southern people like, they talk slow and they walk slow and, and I realized many, many years later that he was trying to wrap his head around, like, how did you get here? Like, how did you get here? Like, you're telling me that you, Black woman from the South, had the same education and have the same smarts that I do from like Seattle. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think his brain was trying to wrap its head around like, we're the same? Is that possible? You know what I mean? No. So I totally relate to that. But at the time, I was just offended on a pure like, what do you mean people from the South don't sound like me? What do you mean people from the South talk slow? Have you ever even been to the South? You know what I mean?
Probably
like I was not. With a line of questioning. And like I said, I didn't really grok at age 17 because I was 17 when I started school, the racial aspect of it. You know what I mean? The questioning undertone of like, you're here and I'm here. Did you get in because, you have like for special reasons? You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. So anyway, forget them. Were you friends with at what point in your, post high school or maybe during high school did you start to become friends with choreographers and dancers?
No. So basically what happened was when I switched my major, I switched it to digital media and I had no idea like what that was. So I was just like, oh, like this seems cool. They seem like they're making cool projects there. Like I'm like.
Did you talk to any professors in that program before you decided to make the jump?
No, not really. Like I talked to one student and he was really cool and he seemed to like it. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna switch my major, see what happens. And then like my mind was just completely blown. I was just like, oh my gosh, because basically up until then, I thought that, you go to school, you learn one thing really well, and then you go out into the world and you get a job in that thing. But what was so cool about digital media was we got to learn so many different tools. And basically, we're taking like video courses. We're taking intro to creative coding and, a P5 and processing and Max and all of these things.
So basically, when you switch majors, that program was the first time that the idea of being a multidisciplinary, professional kind of, was your first introduction to it.
Yep. And I was just like mind blown. I was just like, it was amazing. Learning like 3D modeling and animation and all these things at once. It was amazing, but it was also really stressful because now I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Did you feel like you jumped out of the frying pan into the fire with the new program, or did the new program feel so comfortable that it was, even though it was sort of overwhelming at first, it felt so much more comfortable that you were like, oh, I made the right decision?
Yeah, it felt 100% better because I felt like I was also like, at the time, the program was pretty small. So it was just like, maybe like 50, like not even 50, maybe like 40 or 30 kids like in this like little room, well, like 2 rooms, like on the 2nd floor.
Like high school.
Yeah, and we're like hang, and there's like a couch, and it's like, you know, these
Very
like
relaxed.
these
Yeah.
computers, and we're just like, and during finals week we would all just like spend the night because we're rendering things together, and it's like, but we would like watch movies because there's like a projector.
Nice.
So that was like, you know,
sounds like a vibe. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
we had
good.
a community together, a nice little community, well knit.
Nice.
And
so why don't we watch your pitch video from our Black Public Media's April showcase?
Sure.
Wait, I just remembered I have to do share. Can everybody see the video? LaJune?
Yep.
Hi,
Okay,
my
great.
name is LaJune McMillian, and I'm an artist creating work that integrates performance, extended reality, and physical computing to question our current forms of communication. I'm passionate about discovering, learning, manifesting, and stewarding spaces for liberated Black realities and the Black imagination. I believe in making by diving into navigating, critiquing, and breaking systems and technologies that uphold systemic injustices to decommodify our bodies, undo indoctrination, and make room for different ways of being. In the past few years, access to motion capture data, 3D character based models, and software to make animation yourself has skyrocketed. From Make Human to Mixamo to Carnegie Mellon's motion capture database, the ability to make and finish polished projects has become easier for many. While these resources are extremely helpful to create a range of projects, they lack tools to create diverse characters and movements unexplored by systems that center assumptions of neutrality. For example, when looking for culturally specific movements in existing motion capture databases, you may find some, but are often met with dances and movements that don't reflect the search terms. Also, in the name of making it easy to use, these tools often omit valuable information from users, including information about the motion capture actor who provided the movements and important historical and cultural information about the movements performed. So, how do we combat this erasure, dilution, and exploitation of our culture and people? And how can we discover, learn, invest in, and steward systems that prioritize liberation and abundance? The Black Movement Library is a library for activists, performers, and artists to create diverse XR projects, a space to research how and why we move, and an archive of our existence. We seek to grow community through performances, XR experiences, workshops, conversations, and toolmaking. This library includes an online database of motion capture data and character-based models. And so, movement portraits serve as a way to learn about the lives of the performers contributing their movement data to the library. What happens when we ritualize the archival process of data collection and invite the community in as a witness? Using motion capture and Unreal Engine, performers send their movement data to be translated into visuals in real time. Each experience ranges from 5 to 10 minutes. The first movement portraits feature Maladuma, a music producer, as well as Ronaldo Maurice, a dancer and performer currently with Alvin Ailey. Over the course of development, interviews are recorded with each performer, learning their movement histories. Interviews are then embedded into the soundscapes that the performers move to, allowing the audience to dive into their lives and learn more about how Black movement has been used as a tool for the preservation of Black culture, as well as a vehicle of self-evolution. While movement portraits are a real-time motion capture performance, they are also translated and archived into VR and single-channel video experiences. This allows movement to be re-represented as an abstract digital memory of the performance day. This summer, the Black Movement Library, in collaboration with the Blade of Grass, plans to premiere movement portraits as a live outdoor projection mapped experience featuring 5 Black New York City-based performance artists. And currently, we're looking for funding in a total of $80,000, which will go to movement performer fees, software, motion capture, and projection mapping equipment, extended reality development, audio, and 3D artist fees, as well as website, archival, and promotional fees. Thank you so, so much for listening.
Hello, we're back.
Yay.
Awesome. So, when did you start to think of dance and movement as intellectual property? Like, was that an evolution to reach that conclusion, or again, was there an aha moment?
Yeah, so basically, how I started the project itself was after school. I began thinking about what I needed as an artist to create and to continue my practice. So I came up with it was called the Black Movement Project at the time, so that I could begin building spaces for myself to have access to a lot of these different technologies and tools. So, yeah, it started as like I thought. So I got this residency at iBeam
Okay.
to begin starting this process of building this space. And at the time, I thought it was going to be open source. I thought it was just going to be an open source library so that it could be like free for folks to like, use. And I don't know, I think I was just looking at it from a very like one-sided type of view. And then as I started that residency and I began to do research, and also around that same time, this whole like lawsuit with Fortnite, which is a video game created with Epic Games, which is also an Unreal Engine, which is also what I use to create art. So there was these lawsuits basically stating that a lot of different performers, mainly Black performers and Black artists, got their movements just like taken and like sold onto that platform for $10. And essentially all of those movements, as like, it wasn't just that they were sold on the platform, but they were also erased from.
Sold by the original Black performers or sold by other people using the Black performers' work?
Yeah, sold by Epic Games. Sold by Epic Games. And all of the names of the dances were erased. So basically, all of these dances that already had names were now new names. And now you have all of these different kids thinking that, that the Carlton dance is like the Swipe It, or like all of these weird, just like names that don't have.
So total erasure is what you're saying.
Yeah. So then that was really what I think triggered me to sort of like really dive deeper, because I feel like when it comes to, Black folks in our community, we have this like deep history that's linked to, the United States, where we're just exploited. Like everything that we do is just like, it's just taken and exploited, and it's commodified, and it's turned into something that can be sold by people who like don't even care about like the origins. So I began to really just like sit down and think about what it means to build this space with care. Yeah, I think that's when like the care was introduced to how I was approaching this. I didn't want to just.
How long ago was that?
2018.
Okay, so 3 years ago. Got it.
Yeah. So I think that, and also just looking at current motion capture databases, they completely erase like where they get the movements from. So you don't know who's doing the movements. You don't know like where even the movements were recorded. And it's like, I find it really problematic, especially if I'm making like a Black project and I don't know where I'm getting my motion capture data from or who they are.
So your project is really about several issues at once. It's about copyright and intellectual property. It's about solving the issue of erasure, and it's about also authenticity, that the people who are presenting the motion or the movement are actually part of the community and are authentically part of the community, didn't just buy their way into the community or co-opt something from the community. And it's also about giving Black talent agency digitally in a way that they have not had up to this point. So really, really fascinating work. I mean, you realize you're basically doing like a PhD thesis in the form of an artwork. Hopefully people in the future will literally do a massive research project on this piece and connect it to other things that are going on out in the ether and to other precedents in terms of Black dance in motion, and how previous Black creatives have been able to protect or not protect, their motion related works. Because I think it's definitely worth investigating given the massive influence of Black dance and movement throughout the world. So let's talk a little bit about your workflow in terms of creating a movement portrait, which is the term that you've coined. Talk to me first about the setup. What equipment are you bringing? How much space do you need to record one?
Yeah, so I guess I'll go through how I created these newer ones that will be presented.
How many do you have so far?
So right now I have 2 completed, but but right now I'm working with 5 performers, but 2 are returning. So I'll have 3 new movement portraits and also sort of revamped movement portraits from the first 2 performers that I worked with.
So version 2s of the remix.
Yeah, and it's so cool too to like see like the evolution of people and to continue working with people. So yeah, so basically for this last month, it's been really awesome. So we spent the first week doing just film interviews. And so we're doing all of these projections on the Brooklyn Public Library. And so their dimensions are pretty much like long. And I'm going to have them sort of mirrored side by side.
Vertical or horizontal long?
Vertical long.
Vertical. So not like a film screen at all. Okay.
Yeah, so they will be, so we had to basically, so I worked with a film producer, Manuel Molina, and basically he like flipped the camera sideways. Okay. And with the camera sideways, he also had this really cool like screen, and we were able to sort of just like film all of the documentaries that way. So the first 2 minutes of each portrait this time around will be an actual sort of them talking and moving into the camera about their movement process and movement journey. And then after that, we spent maybe like a week in the movement lab at Barnard College. And they have just the most amazing, beautiful setup for motion capture.
Is it a dance studio? It's a mocap.
It's a mixture. So what's so beautiful about this space is that it is like the perfect blend of a dance studio and a sort of like tech maker space. I've never seen anywhere as beautiful as this space. And they have like full Marley floors. So it's like perfect for dancers and their movements, and just large floor-to-wall projectors, like surrounding all 3 walls. And they have just like all of the technology that you need to. And they're just like really great folks to work with. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, so I got to meet them.
I didn't even know that Barnard College had a mocap studio at all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any idea how many cameras they use? Because I know we had Jake Sally on the show last episode, and he said that the studio they shoot in, I believe, has 106 cameras. Do you remember with Barnard how many cameras they have?
So actually, I'm using the perception neuron suit still there too. So they have mainly just like perception neuron like setups there. So the perception neuron suit is a standalone motion capture suit that doesn't need camera tracking to get motion capture animation. So basically it has like, I would say like 18 sensors, and all of those sensors track.
So you set those up on the perimeter of the dance floor?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And so what I did with the performers that week was just record some preliminary movements, and also just to get a feel of like what their movement style is.
Got it.
And so so then I recorded those, and now I have those, and I'm working with them to sort of do, to sort of do like animations for backup, but also just to have them too. But then on the day of, basically what I do is through these interviews that I do with each performer, I learn more about them, their movement practice, who they are, what their style is, and I use all of that information to create the movement portrait of them. So
on the day of, like the live shoot.
Yeah.
So how long typically is your shoot on the day of? And is it a one-day shoot or is it multiple days?
So this shoot will be live for 2 days. It'll be January 23rd, and we just added an additional day. So not January, June. It's June. Sorry. So it'll be June 23rd, and we just added June 24th.
Oh, that's awesome. So wait, are you shooting at the Brooklyn Library?
It's a live motion capture. It's
I thought you were projecting the 2D film. You're not doing that. You're actually recording.
They're all going to be wearing their motion capture suits. There's a stage, and they're going to be dancing, and I'm going to do live visuals on the day of.
It's a true live performance. It's not a recording of a live performance. Okay.
No, it's a live.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a live motion capture performance. So
is it ticketed, or can people just show up?
It's free. It's free. But I also sent the link because they do have like a sort of just sign up.
Okay.
Just to sort of say that you're coming. But it'll be like projected on. So if you just go to Grand Army Plaza at like 8:30, you'll see
low
everything.
Profile location in Brooklyn. It's like one of the most highly trafficked. It's like the Times Square, aside from Atlantic Station, it's like the Times Square of New York, of Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Like there's so many people in that little intersection with the park right there, and anyway, that's awesome. That's such a great location to have a live performance. Has the library, or who is this being done? Is it being done with the city of New York? Is it being done with the library itself? Like, who is the sort of, the host organizing body that's doing it?
So A Blade of Grass is, oh my gosh, they've just been so helpful and so amazing. So pretty much like I got introduced to Deborah Fisher, who is the head of A Blade of Grass during the pandemic. So we had a really amazing Zoom conversation, and then she just believed in me and my work, and she was just like, you should do projections and a live performance on the Brooklyn Public Library. And so, when you're just like, I don't know if that's going to happen. But then, everyone was just like, yeah, you could just do it.
She was dead serious. You were like, oh, that's so nice. That's cute. She's like, I'm completely serious. I'm going to make this happen. That's amazing. Yeah. Every artist, I think, needs people in their life like that who see their potential and love their talent and are willing to go the extra mile for them to be like, no, I'm actually going to help you pull this off. So I think that's fantastic. What else did I want? Oh, so post. Talk to me quickly about you're going to shoot live for a couple of hours on the 23rd and the 24th. How long how long can people hang out and watch what's going on?
So it'll be an hour and a half both days, 8:30 to 10 p.m. And basically, it'll be a mix of sort of like those live documentaries, and then they go into their movement. I do the live visuals that sort of go along with it. So I'm using two programs at once. I'm using the motion capture program, Axis Neuron, and I'm also using Unreal Engine. So basically, I'll be recording all of the movements with the Axis Neuron software, but then I'll also be sending those movements to Unreal Engine so that you see pretty much like a lot of the visual styles from the animations. So yeah, like it'll be just like a mix of just. So
but I assume you're recording each hour and a half performance will be captured in like one ginormous file somewhere that can be played back in a VR headset, for example, since it's Unreal Engine. So what would be the post process, or is there no cleanup or post process since you're doing it in real time with a game engine? Is there any kind of post process that you'll do to them to make them watchable in like a VR headset, for example?
Yep. So basically the process for that is basically I take those movements that I recorded, and then I go through a process using a motion builder to apply those movements to the characters again. So so basically, unfortunately, it doesn't record to the characters in real time. It only records the straight like BVH file, so I have to do that process.
You have to marry their 3D character with the motion, and so how long per movement portrait does that take you?
Actually, it doesn't. Yeah, it takes maybe like a couple of weeks to sort of do it. Mainly also because I another part of this work for me is that I don't, in a traditional like motion capture animation, I would do maybe like cleanup of the actual movements themselves. Right. But for me, with these portraits, I do keep in any like, what is the word? Discrepancies? Yeah. Or problems. I keep them all in. And
you want it raw. You don't want it to be polished and super commercial.
Yeah.
In terms of its aesthetic. I totally get that. So you film for an hour and a half, and then for each movement portrait, it'll take you. So the hour and a half, is that one performer or multiple performers on like the 23rd and the 24th?
5 performers. Yeah. So they all have like a 10-minute. Yeah.
Or 5 performers each night.
Yeah, but the same performers. So it'll be 5 of the same performers each night.
So everybody gets to perform twice. Are they performing the same pieces both nights for the 10 minutes each, or?
Yes. But also it's really like improv for them. So I'm very much just like, do whatever you want to do. I just tell them to sort of just do them.
You're like the MC and the DJ, and they're the performer. You're like the sort of DJ of the tech, because you've described it to me previously where you said like you're usually talking to them while they're performing and giving them vocal prompts or verbal prompts and things like that. Are you still planning to do that? Like, sort of live?
I won't be talking. I'll just be like making the visuals look pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I just want to wish you, thank you so much for walking us through how this project came to be, like, when it sort of coalesced for you, and then what you're trying to accomplish with this project, which I think is such important work. And walking us through your actual production workflow and how you're going to pull off the performances next week. I wish you nothing but the best. I think that they're going to be amazing. I can't wait to see what you post on your IG and elsewhere so that I can see what it looks like. I wish I could be there. Thank you so much. And now Ebony's going to take us out for this episode.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, LaJune, and thank you, Lisa. I appreciate your wisdom and sharing your experience with us. You have a beautiful story and beautiful work. So congratulations again. Yeah. I'm going to wrap us up. Thank you for watching another episode of the Technically Brilliant Show. Make sure to check out all episodes. They're on the Den Black Film Festival's Facebook and YouTube page, as well as Black Public Media's Instagram page and Vimeo page. We will be off next week for a little rest, but we'll come back June 30th with Brazilian artist Fabiano Nizo. So please stay tuned for that. Have a great rest of your afternoon.